year in the National Hockey League. What did you think of it, and how do you think you played?
I thought pretty solid first year. I mean, there's obviously lots of ups and downs that went with it, but I think I learned a lot, and I continue to get better throughout the year.
Were you surprised at the volume of minutes as the season went on? I mean, you knew you were going to be able to play and contribute, but that number of minutes the first year, what did you think of that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I was happy about it. I mean, I'm not going to complain about playing more. But I wouldn't say I was really surprised. Like, didn't really have too many expectations really, but it was just kind of going to go with the flow, and whatever happened. So, but no, I was definitely happy with it.
In the top four, it seemed like you played with everybody at some point. Is that a plus to play with different players, or would you rather just settle in with one guy?
No, I think it's a good thing. I think for me, I've always seen it as a way to kind of get better, and you learn stuff playing with different guys, and you got to play different ways with different guys. So I think for me, I've always kind of seen it as a positive and something that makes you better and you learn more from.
Dwayne says you do amazing things out there. How do you feel when you're out there with him?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty fun playing with him. I mean, just watching him every night. I think probably every game there's at least one thing that he does where you're like, wow, on the bench. So I think he's been someone that's been huge for me, and kind of both on and off the ice, and has kind of really helped me throughout this first year.
How do you see him really lead in the locker room? Because we talked to him about wearing the A and stuff, but he just says he's being himself. How do you see him really lead this team?
Yeah, I think he's point on with that. He's just himself. He doesn't change anything. But I think the biggest thing for me is just on the ice. I mean, guys see how hard he works and how much dedication he has for getting better at practice. He's always out there early and working on stuff. So I think in the locker room, like you said, he's just the same person on the ice. It really shows his leadership.
Is there one skill he has that really makes you shake your head? And
I don't know. I mean, there's so many different ones that you could say. Obviously, his skating, his hands, his shot. I mean, how smart he is. I could go on and on. So I don't know if there's one thing, but there's a whole bunch of them.
What do you view as the next step for yourself and building off of this year?
Yeah, I think like any year, really just go back, have a good summer, and continue to get better. So for me, I'm not someone that really puts too many goals and kind of likes to go very strict on them. I'm just more so trying to show up every day and get a little bit better, and I think that's the best way to approach it.
Does Canada want you to play in the World Championship?
Yeah, I mean, I've been asked, and I'm still trying to decide what's best for me. So I'm still up in the air with it.
Owen, when you get drafted #1 overall, that means you're going to the worst team or one of the worst teams. What's it been like to see this team develop from when you started, even when you were at Michigan the last year, to where they are now on the edge of being a playoff team potentially for a long time?
Yeah, I mean, it's awesome. I think for me, I stepped in at a good time at the end of last year when everything was kind of going in an upward trajectory. So I think it couldn't really be a better spot for me to be in. And like you said, hopefully we could make the playoffs next year and get on a little streak.
Being one of the youngest guys in here, did it take you a while maybe to let your personality shine through? Were you a little shy, or did you right away be able to fit in, or were you kind of reserved to start with?
Yeah, I mean, I would say I was pretty reserved. I mean, I'm not the loudest guy, so it took a little bit, but I think those 8 games last year really helped me kind of fit in and come into this year a little bit more comfortable. So, but no, for sure it took a little bit, but now the guys did such a good job making everyone feel comfortable. So it's been awesome.
And given what those 8 games did for you, what can the 7 games this year do for Levi next year?
I think really just the same thing with me. I mean, I think for him, he's been able to play, and he's played really good hockey. So I think it gives him kind of that confidence going into the summer, just to know that he plays in this, that he can play in this league, and just allows him to kind of understand what the league's like and what he's got to do to be prepared for next year.
Don has mentioned to us that you don't seem to feel pressure when you're on the ice. What is it about, maybe about your experiences or just the path that you've taken to get here, that's really prepared you to maybe handle those situations in games?
I don't know. I mean, played a lot of hockey in different situations, so I think that's helped. But I think just also that's kind of my personality. I'm not too stressed about much really, so I think that's kind of goes onto the ice, and I think it helps me a lot.
What's your off-season routine? Like, how do you handle having time off from all this?
Yeah, I mean it's going to be different this year, obviously, with my first full year, but it's also the Worlds has a lot to do with that, whether or not I go. So I'm just still trying to figure out what the plan is, and then once I figure that out, I'll kind of see and kind of try and figure out what my summer's going to look like.
What's it like to be in most of the Calder talk with your former college teammate?
I don't know. I mean, I don't follow that much at all, really. I mean, for me, it doesn't really mean much. So it's obviously pretty cool and an honor, but at the end of the day, it's something that I can't control. So it's kind of not something I'm going to worry about.
What did you think of the year he had? I mean, 2,500 miles away, you guys both, made a huge mark.
Yeah, I mean, he had obviously a huge year, so I think he was a huge part of them making the playoffs, and is going to be a really good player for them for next years to come.